Emily Carter was born on November 22, 1996, in Chicago, Illinois. As the middle child in the family, she had an older stepbrother, Michael, and a younger brother, Daniel. When Emily was still young, her family moved to Austin, Texas, seeking better opportunities and a fresh start. Growing up in Austin, Emily was shaped by her family's values of kindness and determination. Despite being naturally sociable, Emily often found herself retreating into moments of solitude, reflecting on the world around her. Her mother, Linda, was a pillar of support during these times, encouraging Emily to embrace her introspective side while still connecting with others. Emily proved to be a bright, compassionate girl, excelling in school. In high school, she became a cheerleader, showcasing her love for dance and teamwork. Her smile, those who knew her said, could light up any room, and her laughter was contagious. After finishing high school, Emily enrolled at the University of Texas in 2015, where she pursued criminology and psychology. Her decision to study these fields reflected not only a deep interest in understanding human behavior, but also a strong desire to help others. Emily dreamed of becoming a psychologist, aspiring to unravel the complexities of the human mind, using this knowledge to aid others and improve society. Throughout her life, Emily maintained a particularly close relationship with her mother, Linda. Their bond was incredibly strong, and Emily often turned to Linda to share her thoughts, dreams, and concerns. Even as an adult, Emily held on to a touching tradition. Every night before bed, her mother would come to her room to wish her good night and reflect on the events of the day. After graduating in 2019, Emily secured her first job at the Horizon Call Center in Round Rock, a suburb of Austin. This job not only marked the beginning of her career, but also provided Emily with a chance to apply her psychology background, helping others by offering support and solving problems through communication. Emily quickly proved herself as a dedicated, hardworking employee. Her natural kindness and sharp communication skills didn't go unnoticed, and management soon recognized her potential, promoting her to team leader. In her new role, Emily continued to shine, fostering a positive environment within the team and helping her colleagues grow. Her leadership and humanity earned the respect of both her peers and managers. It was during this time that Emily met Jason Miller, a 35-year-old employee at Horizon. Jason was just another colleague at the time, and Emily, as a team leader, maintained a strictly professional relationship with him. However, little did she know, this would mark the beginning of an obsession that would threaten her safety. Alongside her career growth, Emily didn't neglect her personal life. At work, she met David Reynolds, and they began dating. Their relationship developed gradually, with David seeing in Emily not only a beautiful woman, but a strong, purposeful person with a compassionate heart. In June 2019, Emily's life took a significant turn. Jason Miller, who had been facing productivity issues, was dismissed from the company. As team leader, Emily was assigned the task of escorting Jason out on his last day. What should have been a simple, formal farewell quickly became the beginning of a dangerous obsession. As Emily led Jason to the exit, she shook his hand and wished him success in his future endeavors. However, Jason's reaction was unexpected. He suddenly pulled her toward him and kissed her on the cheek. This act left Emily shocked, confused, and uncomfortable. She quickly stepped back, trying to maintain her professionalism despite the awkwardness of the situation. That evening, Emily shared the incident with her mother, Linda, expressing her surprise at Jason's behavior. Linda, ever the calming influence, suggested that perhaps Jason had simply developed a harmless crush on Emily and that it shouldn't be taken too seriously. However, this advice, although meant to comfort Emily, would later prove to be a fatally underestimated threat. About a week after his dismissal, Jason took the first step that would soon escalate into stalking. He reached out to Emily via Instagram, sending her a message that immediately raised her concern. In his message, Jason expressed his strong feelings for her, claiming that he couldn't eat, sleep, or function at his new job without her. His words unsettled Emily, but she chose to handle the situation delicately. She politely thanked Jason for his kind words, but made it clear that she wasn't interested in a romantic relationship and that her feelings for him were purely professional. She wished him well, hoping this would end the unwanted communication. However, Emily's rejection only fueled Jason's obsession. He began creating fake Instagram accounts to continue contacting her after she blocked his previous profiles. The messages became more frequent and intrusive, escalating from romantic confessions to explicit sexual fantasies. Emily tried to ignore the messages, blocking each new account, but Jason's persistence had no limits. Sometimes, within minutes of blocking one profile, another would appear. This relentless harassment began to take a serious toll on Emily's emotional well-being. Stress, insomnia, and anxiety became constant companions in her life. 6 months into the stalking, Emily felt unable to handle the situation alone. She finally confided in her mother, Linda, and her close friends, revealing the extent of Jason's obsessive behavior. Linda, deeply concerned for Emily's safety, insisted that Emily report the situation to the police. Despite her doubts, Emily agreed, and together they visited the local police station. Emily explained the situation, showing the officers the numerous messages from Jason and describing how they had begun to affect her daily life. Unfortunately, the police response was dismissive. The officer stated that technically, Jason hadn't broken any laws and advised Emily to simply ignore the messages or delete her social media accounts altogether. They didn't even take down Jason's name or any details of Emily's complaint. This lack of support deeply upset Emily and Linda. They left the police station feeling helpless and disappointed by the very system that should have protected them. The months that followed became an ordeal for Emily. Jason's stalking didn't stop, it intensified. His messages grew more threatening, often containing violent fantasies and explicit threats. Emily's emotional state continued to deteriorate. She became consumed by constant stress and fear, unable to escape the suffocating anxiety caused by Jason's actions. She began looking over her shoulder whenever she left home or returned from work. Despite this, Emily tried to maintain some semblance of normalcy. She continued working, maintaining relationships with friends and family, but her loved ones began to notice changes in her. She seemed distant, anxious, and increasingly worried. At work, Emily struggled to concentrate, haunted by the fear that Jason might show up at the office. She avoided social events and minimized her social media presence in an effort to reduce contact with him. Despite all this, Emily didn't give up. She leaned on the support of her loved ones, particularly her mother and her boyfriend, David Reynolds, who did everything in his power to help her cope. Despite the unrelenting pressure from Jason, Emily's personal life began to take a positive turn. Her relationship with David, which had started as a friendship, grew into something deeper. David, understanding Emily's situation, showed her patience and unwavering support. He didn't pressure her, allowing her the time and space she needed to cope with the emotional toll of the stalking. His presence in her life became a source of stability and comfort, something Emily desperately needed. The couple began spending more time together, enjoying the simple pleasures of life, taking walks, dining out, and trying to carve out moments of peace amidst the chaos caused by Jason. For Emily, this relationship became a ray of hope. David's presence gave her a sense of security and normalcy that she had desperately missed. However, despite these positive changes, Jason's shadow still loomed over Emily's life. She couldn't fully relax, always fearing that Jason might target David in retaliation. About a year after the stalking began, the situation took a sharp turn for the worse. Jason's actions grew more aggressive and persistent. His messages became more threatening, often laced with blatant violence and hostility. One day, Emily noticed Jason's car parked near her workplace. This discovery shocked her, as it meant that Jason's stalking had moved from the virtual world to the physical one. The situation worsened when Emily realized that Jason had somehow discovered her home address. She began to notice his car parked near her neighborhood, which left her feeling a constant sense of fear and panic. These events severely affected Emily's psychological state. She began suffering from panic attacks, afraid to leave her house alone and constantly checking locks and windows. Her work and personal life started to deteriorate under the weight of continuous stress and anxiety. Linda, deeply concerned, saw how Emily had changed, how the once vibrant, energetic woman was now a shadow of herself. David also felt helpless, unable to fully protect Emily from this invisible yet relentless threat. It became clear that the situation was out of control and needed immediate intervention. Emily and her loved ones knew they had to approach the authorities once again, despite their past negative experience. They gathered detailed records of all incidents, including screenshots of Jason's messages and accounts of his physical presence near Emily's home and workplace. This time, they were better prepared. At the police station, they were met by a new officer who listened attentively to Emily's account. He reviewed the evidence and recognized the severity of the situation. The officer explained that while Jason's individual actions might not have been criminal, their cumulative effect amounted to systematic stalking. He advised Emily to apply for a restraining order against Jason. The process of obtaining the restraining order was lengthy and emotionally exhausting for Emily. She had to recount every detail of the stalking, provide all evidence, and explain why she felt her life was in danger. With the support of Linda and David, she made it through the difficult process. The court eventually issued the restraining order, prohibiting Jason from contacting Emily in any way or approaching her home or workplace. While Emily felt some relief, she knew the order was only a piece of paper. It couldn't physically stop Jason. The first month after receiving the restraining order brought long-awaited peace. Jason disappeared from her life. His messages ceased, and his car no longer appeared near her home or work. Emily began to return to normal life. She slept peacefully again, her work productivity improved, and she started to reconnect with friends and family. Her relationship with David also grew stronger, and they began to make future plans, dreaming of a life together. Yet, despite the peace, Emily remained cautious. She avoided sharing information about her whereabouts on social media and stayed vigilant when leaving her house. In her heart, she knew the silence could be deceptive. On November 14, 2020, just 2 days before the tragedy, Emily and David enjoyed a sunny day at a rooftop restaurant in downtown Austin. They spent hours talking, laughing, and dreaming about their future. During the date, the couple took several photos, including one that would become tragically significant. In this photo, Emily and David embraced, their faces full of happiness. Emily decided to post the picture on Instagram, marking the official announcement of their relationship. Returning home, Emily shared her joy with Linda, telling her about the photo she planned to post. Linda, happy for her daughter, supported the decision, believing that the worst was behind them. On November 15th, Emily posted the photo, receiving numerous positive comments from friends and family. The rest of the day, Emily spent time at home, watching a movie and discussing her upcoming birthday with her mother. No one could have predicted that this post would set off the chain of events that would change everything. The evening of November 15th, 2020, started like any other. Emily and Linda followed their usual routine. They had dinner together, discussing the day's events. Around 10 p.m., Linda went to Emily's room to wish her good night, just as she did every night. "Should I leave the light on or turn it off?" Linda asked. "Leave it. I'll turn it off in a minute," Emily replied. "Okay. Love you," Linda said. "I love you more. Good night," were the last words Linda heard from her daughter. At approximately 4:10 a.m. on November 16th, Linda awoke to the sound of breaking glass. Horrified, she rushed to Emily's room. What she found shattered her world. Emily was lying on her bed, motionless and covered in blood. The bedroom window was broken, and the floor was covered in shards of glass. Linda screamed, begging Emily to open her eyes, but Emily didn't respond. Linda immediately called emergency services, desperately trying to get help. When paramedics arrived, they found Emily already dead. The autopsy later revealed she had been stabbed 23 times, one of which went straight to her heart. When the paramedics confirmed Emily's death, Linda fell into shock. She couldn't believe her daughter, whom she had just spoken to hours ago, was gone. In a moment of devastation and anger, Linda cried out, "He killed her," drawing the attention of the police officers at the scene. The investigation began immediately. Police examined the crime scene and collected evidence, including bloody fingerprints found on the windowsill and fence. A neighbor's security camera captured a car speeding away from the house at the time the ambulance arrived. Detectives questioned Linda, trying to understand who she meant by he. Linda shared details of Jason's stalking and the restraining order issued against him. News of the tragedy spread quickly. David, upon receiving the news, was devastated. He couldn't believe that Emily, whom he had spent the day with just 2 days earlier, was now gone. The police immediately began searching for Jason, but their efforts proved unnecessary. About an hour after the murder, Jason appeared at the police station, injured. He immediately confessed to Emily's murder, saying, "She's dead. She's dead. Go see. You know what happened. It's your fault." When the police searched Jason's phone, they found hundreds of screenshots of Emily and David's photos. His laptop revealed searches about David, the restaurant where they had dined, and, most disturbingly, plans of Emily's house. Investigators also found that 3 months before the murder, Jason had purchased a hammer and a kitchen knife, indicating the murder had been carefully planned. Jason was charged with first-degree murder and taken into custody without bail. His trial began almost 3 years after Emily's murder, largely delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. During this time, Jason shifted his position, initially confessing to the murder but later retracting his statement. His defense tried to argue that Jason was mentally incompetent at the time of the crime. Jason underwent numerous psychiatric evaluations. One expert testified that Jason suffered from hallucinations and was controlled by an imaginary creature named Isha. However, other experts concluded that Jason was fully competent and aware of his actions. The prosecution presented strong evidence against Jason, including messages he had sent to Emily, evidence of physical stalking, and a detailed map of her home found on his computer. The fact that Jason had purchased the murder weapon months before the attack made it clear the crime was premeditated. Emily's family and friends testified emotionally about the impact of Jason's stalking on Emily's life. David spoke about the stress and fear Emily endured in her final months, while Linda shared her painful memories of the night of the murder and Emily's repeated efforts to seek help from law enforcement. Jason, during the trial, tried to claim that only 2 of the wounds were inflicted by him, and the rest were caused by broken glass. Forensic experts quickly disproved this version. Throughout the trial, Jason remained cold and indifferent, showing no remorse for his actions. On February 29, 2024, after a lengthy trial, Jason Miller, now 39, was convicted of murder. He was sentenced to 36 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after serving 30 years. While Emily's family felt relief that justice was served, they also found the sentence insufficient. Linda, in particular, expressed disappointment, feeling the court had been too lenient on a man who had taken her daughter's life. She spoke of how the justice system had failed Emily when she had asked for help. In response, Linda channeled her grief into action. She began a campaign to strengthen stalking and harassment laws, aiming to prevent other families from experiencing the same pain. She worked tirelessly, meeting with lawmakers and experts, trying to create better protections for victims of stalking. Linda's efforts led to the formation of the Emily Carter Memorial Foundation, which provides support to victims of stalking and funds research into prevention. The case of Emily Carter sparked national conversations about the dangers of stalking and the legal system's shortcomings in protecting victims. It highlighted the need for reform and inspired Linda to continue fighting for a better future. Through her foundation, Linda works tirelessly to create a world where no one else has to endure the same tragedy.